move closer, but with a deepest red. Beneath them we look on. When they part comes the hatred they bring. Lost in the dark, we've come so far. Another step to rid the pain. Go and be counted till your last day, 'cause only nightmares break their face. So stand upon these fallen lands and follow in our Father's plans. Yeah, until the end we will remain, and we'll hold on until our last breath. So what is to be left for us? My people look on and say, don't fear what you don't know, 'cause we're far from certain fate. And we'll make our final stand. Lost in the dark, we've come so far. Another step to rid the pain. Go and be counted till your last day, 'cause only nightmares break their flames. So stand upon these fallen lands and follow in our Father's plans. Yeah, until the end we will remain, and we'll hold on until the last
Okay, we are back, ready for Game 2. Ablaze lighting up the Rift in Game 1, picking up their first win of the series. We'll see if Sacramentum can come back and maybe throw some water onto those flames, maybe cool them down a little bit, or if it's going to be a bit too hot in the kitchen and they may have to leave. So, Game 2 going to be coming up shortly. Pick and bans will be with us very quickly. Damon, anything that you expect to maybe see banned or picked in round 2?
Definitely expect to see that Kled band. It was just destroying people, and they quite obviously just didn't have a strong answer to it.
Yeah, indeed. As we do go into pick and bans, got off the board once again, and no side change this time. So Ablaze going to be on the blue side once again. Sacramentum opting into the red side, and the bans are going to go very similar to how we saw in Game 1 there. The Azir taken away, and the Blitzcrank to follow.
Yeah, makes sense, all these bans, with the players in this game, but yeah, I think either figure out a different pick into that Kled or just get rid of it. Don't let it go up unless you have a very strong counter pick into it. It was destroying people's faces.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit surprised that they decided to opt into the Malphite anyway, because we initially thought it was a Mordecai, and I don't think that's even a particularly good matchup regardless. So maybe something a little bit different, but they do ban the Kled, they do give some respect, and that means the Morgana is open.
Yeah, don't think they're going to pick it though. I think they're just going to run it back. Get themselves that Thresh, get themselves that Jinx. I think it was, if they just don't make that same mistake walking through that Tri-Brush at level 1, I think they're in a much better situation. So, should be okay, hopefully? Question mark?
Yeah, definitely question mark ping there. I agree with you. I think if they don't die level 1, then things will be fine. But it does kind of beg the question of what is Josh G going to be given this game to maybe turn it around in their favor, because they had such a good start. They were able to really play quite aggressively in the early game, but then they kind of just lost their cool. They got a bit cocky and they kind of overextended. But this time, Lucian Brom, a little bit better synergy than the Amumu, and I'm a little bit more happy to see this combination than maybe that Amumu.
It's also a very, very good matchup specifically into the Thresh the Braum. A bit of a Braum connoisseur myself, or as we like to call it, one trick. Braum counters Thresh, and that is not what I was expecting. I'm going to continue my point. Braum counters Thresh because what can Thresh realistically E? You could E the W, I guess, but that's not really impactful. He's still getting most of that mobility and the stats. It's wow, they're going for an absolute banger comp on Sacramentum side. I kind of want him to lock in this Yasuo. The combination of Braum with the Yasuo and Lucian is kind of disgusting, and then they go Mordekaiser. Okay.
And we knew they play Malphite as well, so the Yasuo could have been really interesting in the Sacramentum team, but it's not to be, at least for now. As we see, Iron Tower guys going to lock in the Sivir, and Curly going to pick up that Volibear, not necessarily for themselves, but it's definitely an interesting one to kind of swerve the comp this way. Volibear will be a little bit better in the early game than the Mordekaiser, if it is not going to be going top, but Sivir into the Braum seems a little bit counterintuitive.
Yeah, definitely. Pretty much. I mean, Braum can't really Q you. You can E it, but he can just Q ult you and you die. And also the recent changes solution where if you buff him in any way as an ally, so a heal or a shield or an empower of some sort, he does additional damage on his auto attacks. Braum W at level 2, so if he takes Q and W and Lucian takes his Q and his E, the Lucian's going to be doing the additional damage when Braum W's in, but also Braum W at level 2 gives you approximately 1,000 gold worth of stats. 1,000 gold worth of stats at level 2.
Woo!
It's crazy. So this old classic duo definitely got a lot stronger.
That is definitely a lot of stats right there. Now, Diana and Nico are going to be banned away by Sacramentum, and Trundle and the Anivia taken away by Ablaze. So interestingly, switching up to the Trundle band there. Still going to be staying strong with the Anivia. And I will say, Kindred has been left open. Maybe because they think that Volibear is going to be jungle.
Yeah, definitely that is an interesting pick in the Master Yi. But the Trundle, we played a lot of it on Primetail's last split in Div 2. Specifically me as the top laner. But it's a really strong pick into that Volibear. Takes away all of his statistics, all the armor, all the MR, and kind of chunks him down as a HP drainer. So like what would you call it? A drain tank. That's the word from World of Warcraft. And you kind of beat him because you also take away all of his AD. It's a really pretty much unplayable match from Volibear's perspective. But the Corki is an interesting pick. They're kind of just going for hyper scaling. I'm kind of expecting to see like another frontliner here from Fork.
That is definitely not what we're expecting. Hopefully that is not going to be the lock-in, because it would be hinting their team a little bit. I will say they need some hard CC, because Master Yi is going to be slicing through your team if you do not. But they hear what I'm saying. They're going to pick the Amu, and I imagine that is going to be a Amumu jungle.
I won't lie to you, I kind of would have liked to see a Jax there if he plays it at all. Pretty okay matchup into Mordekaiser. Gives you what you want, that kind of pseudo frontline, and counters Master Yi and Lucian beautifully. But the Amumu works as well, but kind of gave away that like flexibility of that Volibear. You kind of now know it's into Master Yi, and he beats Master Yi at level 1 to about 6, but like after a point, Master Yi hits one item and just kind of, Master Yi Qs you to death as the Volibear. The Vel'Koz into Corki matchup. This is going to be, I want to say interesting, but I have a feeling it's just going to be boring. It's just going to be two hyperscalers farming.
It's a lot of poke. It's a lot of poke, maybe not so much all in, but I'm very surprised by the switch up in comp. I think the Amumu was a good lock-in to stop the Yi, because you can just drop the ult to kind of lock him down and give your team a bit of time. And if Corki and Siva have got far enough ahead, then it doesn't really matter if Master Yi can Q or not, because he will die. But with that being said, Sacramentum have come with a much stronger late game. I think the Viego, although very, very powerful, isn't as easy to pilot as Master Yi, and with the ability to dodge a lot of CC and get onto that backline and close down those ADCs, I think that Cool's Nigel might have a bit of a better time, and considering that this is his main as well, definitely going to be feeling a little bit more confident. They've managed to keep some AP as well with the Mordekaiser and the Vel'Koz. I think I maybe would have preferred an AD top laner into something like the Volibear, just because of the fact that Vel'Koz is going to be doing AP, and then you would have had the solo damage from the mid.
Yeah, definitely two different compositional identities here. Ablaze going for El Clasico of just, we're going to stack a front line, we're going to get two hyper carries, and we're going to fight you front to back. Late game team fighting is Ablaze bread and butter. On the opposite side, Sacramentum has a decent team fight. Braum, Lucian, Vel'Koz, Master Yi, and Mordekaiser all good in team fights, but they want to play fast and dirty. They want to hit you, get a carry kill, and win the fight that way. If it goes to mid-game, slow front-to-back team fights, they just get rolled unless this Braum positions his E beautifully and Master Yi gets on the backline. Very difficult game for Sacramento to play. On the flip, though, their early game is so good. The Lucian and Braum is a better duo than Lucian and Amumu in the early game, and you saw how well the early game went from last time. I'm going to be interested to see if Josh G and Mr. Carroll can push the throttle this game again, especially when they have the better duo.
And this is also a sentiment where Braum going to be able to protect Lucian a lot better, so it should give him more time to get the damage off. Corki and Siva could have a bit of trouble in those late game team fights, because Braum is going to be able to block a lot of their damage, and the procs from the concussive blows are not just going to affect the Lucian, it's also going to set up nicely for Master Yi. And Mordekaiser, we talked about it, if he wants to take you out of the fight, he can do, and that Amumu could be a very juicy target to stop that CC onto Yi, which gives him pretty much free reign into the backline. All of this happening while the Vel'Koz is able just to beam through your team. So I'm definitely interested to see how Ablaze play this. I think the Sacramento have picked the better team, just because it feels like they're going to be able to do more simply. But at the same time, the scaling from the side of Ablaze is definitely a bit hotter.
Yeah, Sacramento's comp's a little bit more straightforward. It's just kind of attack, kill things, run at them, hit your buttons, something will probably die. While Ablaze's comp is a little bit more play correctly, and it works, but if they do play correctly, it will be almost impossible to ever take a straight-up fight with more than 3 people involved, because, Ablaze's comp is very good at playing slow, controlled team fights. But it's difficult for them to play controlled, slow team fights. So this is definitely going to be, I kind of hate to say it, but this game is going to be pretty much almost entirely on Ablaze of whether or not they're able to execute their comp correctly. But if they can, it should be an advantage to them. If they can't, well, we're in for a game and a half.
A game and a half indeed. And I'm looking at Ablaze and kind of thinking, well, you've picked a difficult comp. Do you have the skills to pull it off? This is definitely a time to shine. But Sacramentum, this is where you have to come back. You cannot lose game 2. If you do, that is it. The series is over. You want us to take us to game 3. You need to try and get yourself ready for this one, as we are going to be loading into the game. And I would like to see a game 3. Game 3 is always a lot of fun. It's a lot of pressure, but Sacramento have to get there. They need to get that lead, and then they have to keep it, which is the most important part. Yep. Okay, and into this game we do go. Sacramentum, their title is on the line. Will they be able to keep this series alive? You'll have to wait and find out, as we do see a 5-stack running over to the top side, maybe looking for a bit of a different invade.
The VL classic. 5-stack, walk down river, probably get a pick. burn 4 summoners, call it a win. You will see this quite commonly in VL games. It's a tactic someone introduced, I don't know who, it wasn't me anyway. But it usually works, it's a very effective stat, and, well...
Isha now in a lot of trouble. He's going to be able to get away there. Does have to flash though, and that will give a bit of priority over to Organized Crisis here, who didn't have the best time in the game 1 top side, but maybe with the flashless volley bear now, maybe we'll be able to find a little bit more aggression as we do see Josh G and Mr. Cole basing, going to be making their way back down to this side, and this time around, Senpai, Fork, they've warded that Tribush.
They did ward it, however, they didn't run into the enemy blue side and get a ward on that buff the second they saw them all topside. If you get a ward on that brush, even if you don't spot him, it gives you information, you know, like, okay, he hasn't done these 2 camps, therefore he has to be here or here. If you ever see the enemy stack more than 3 or 4 people for a play like that top, your instinct should be, I am running immediately into the enemy jungle, I'm going to get vision of some sort.
Indeed, I do agree with that sentiment, as we do see no crazy early level ones, no deep 3-kill Lucians, and a little bit more standard laning, shall we say, in game 2, as Senpai and Fork just having a bit of a good time here. I would expect Fork to get quite a lot of poke onto Carl, but obviously the all-in is going to be going the way of the Lucian and the Braum.
Oh, Braum playing this very smart. If you ever want to hit level 2, as a melee support, don't actually ever auto wave 1. Save both of your stacks for wave 2. You pretty much insta-kill 2 minions and you get level 2. They did exactly that. Unfortunately, couldn't use pressure.
As we do see Organized Crisis and Isha there just standing and trading. It's just like, you know what, we're just going to go blow for blow. One of us will win this, and Crisis there having to decide to back away. But I will say the CS differential is pretty stacked in the top side. 10 CS already.
Yeah, 10 CS, but if I remember seeing that correctly, Ishka pretty much has his entire wave to work with, hasn't really missed any minions. If he gets all of these, once it bounces correctly, he should be maybe only 3 or 4 behind, but ooh, the Amumu here, I love this.
Here comes the early gank, and it is just immediate destruction. Crisis with no chance, just gets immediately obliterated, and the flash not really meaning too much because Crisis already had to use theirs as well, so it's all even in the top side, and Volibear picking up an early win there. It does go over to Amumu though, who will take that kill, and now looking for gank number 2. He's going to get the stun off onto this Vel'Koz. The barrier was used, the second stun going to come out. Will it be enough damage though? It's not just going to be, but both summoners in the mid lane already used as Fork also in a bit of trouble here, and Snigel joining the action as well. They're not done just yet. Picks up the kill onto Curly, and in what was a really crazy set of plays, it ends up being 1-for-1 to both teams.
And as we can see here, the bot laners are just farming. They did have that good trade there onto the trash burning double summoners, but while the entire top side of the map is on fire, bullets flying left, right, and center, a sword or 2 getting thrown in there, they're just farming and playing the game.
Just that quiet, silent music, just that elevator kind of vibes, just playing around in the bot side as everyone else is just burning up. It was a bit of an interesting play. I think the Yi getting an early kill is pretty huge. They will have to watch out for Snigel because everyone's had that Marcy in their game where they get a little bit too fed and they just start one-shotting everyone. I think is probably the best way to say it, as that lethality build on Yi was pretty strong.
Yeah, that build is a little bit disgusting if you're ahead, but it is taking that trade-off of, you know, I'm building lethality. I have to be a certain amount of gold ahead. I have to be in a certain position. And if you're not in that position as that, you will kind of pretty much be more useless than a ranged minion. Master Yi is kind of no.
Ooh, big trade in the top side right now. Crisis trying to get away. Isha just absolutely clawing up the Metal Man, and it's not looking good for them so far. They need to try and slow down the lane a little bit, maybe take a few more trades rather than go for these all-ins that are just benefiting the Volibear a lot more.
Yeah, I think if I was Organized Crisis here, I'd kind of just be like, yo, Master Yi, I kind of need to just come fix this wave for me.
Yeah, indeed, as we see, Fork gets the shot onto Josh G, but the damage returned from the Lucian is pretty massive. Senpai able to block a little bit, but not too much, and that is why I do feel like this Sivir is a little bit questionable into the Lucian. There's not really much that you can actually block with the Spell Shield. And a lot of damage there from Josh G in the early stages, really starting to hurt onto Senpai.
Yeah, Lucian known as quite a good pick into the Sivir. You can just W as the Lucian, breaking the Spell Shield, and then you have your primary abilities to hit her off. Then she also kind of has to be juggling, like, okay, do I Spell Shield his ability here, or do I Spell Shield the Braum? It's a very difficult game for her to play. Mid game should be a little bit easier when she has, some people the front line for her. She just has to choose the correct skills. But who would be
guys in trouble here? Is going to be able to start up Josh G and walk away as Darkweed was going down. I'm surprised that Mr. Carl and Josh G backed away so quickly. I would have expected them to play a little bit more aggressive. They decide, you know what, we're not going to win the 3v2 just yet. We're going to go back to their wave.
I think it was more Josh G is sitting on about 1,500 gold right now and has no mana. Pretty much a fight there was never going to happen. The Amumu just would have walked away safely. And they need this reset, but this is a really bad wave state, actually. They need to push this in the bot lane. And, of course, Crisis being, well, bullied again. Oh boy.
Yeah, every time we look at this top lane, Isha is just clawing up the Mordekaiser. And Amatawi guy has been able to get a bit of farm, but Yi slightly ahead, level 6 already, onto the early Drake. Very similar to how we saw game 1, Sacramentum getting the early objective lead, but will they be able to keep it? That is a question of that. 2 Dragon Market all started to turn, and then Ablaze were able to get themselves back into the Dragon game. As we do see Cool's Nigel now, a little bit of trouble, is going to have to use the Alpha Strike. Will he be able to finish off the damage onto this Thresh? The Ignite is going to be going down. There's the Boomerang Blade cutting through the Meditating Yi, and that will be a first, or sorry, not first blood, that will be a kill though, over to the side of Sivir.
Yeah, definitely a kind of issue you see with a lot of junglers in Div 2, Div 3, especially Div 4 actually, not really playing with priorities correctly. Their bot lane had a late reset, means they cannot be on the map at the same time. I'm just going to stop talking because every time I do, Mordekaiser's just getting bullied.
Yeah, Josh G, they're also taking a bit of a good trade onto Fork, and the Thresh feeling the heat from the Lucian right now. It's definitely a lot of pressure being put on, but they're not conceding as much as they did in the first game. So they are actually able to keep quite stable. Senpai actually has a farm lead over Josh G, who is waiting in the wings, maybe looking to get a bit of damage off here. Senpai will take the Winter's Bite to the face, but able to walk away, and the Boomerang Blade able to trade back a little bit of damage as well.
Yeah, I'm going to try to make that point again, because I don't think anyone's getting in a fight in the next 5 seconds. Junglers don't use the priority very well. Their bot lane took that late reset, and they were in a worse situation because the wave was pushing away from them. They couldn't really do anything. And you saw the enemy bot lane, the Sivir and the Thresh, managed to get there beforehand. And Corki also managed to have the roam, but wasn't impactful in that situation specifically. But can they use the... Okay, so what you want to be seeing is...
Top lane fight though, hold on one sec. Isha there trying to run away, does get the stun onto Snigel, who has used the ultimate. Isha trying to stay alive, but will go down. Alpha Strike was utilised. And Mumu, they're going to come through and maybe clean this up. Picks up the Yi already. Christ is going to take them into the death run, but do they have the damage? The tears are falling, and so is the Mordekaiser. The Rust built up too much from the water, and it's going to be a double kill for the Amumu on the top side.
Yeah, very good counter gank there by the Amumu, but I want to give Isha a big shout out there. He played that very well, used his W at a good time, didn't kind of panic and use it, buying themselves the time to do it.
But the dive now from Mr. Carl, the box is going to slow them down. Senpai not able to trade too much damage, and the turret wasn't focused on the Braum, so Mr. Carl is able to get out safely.
Yeah, definitely the Braum and the Lucian, I'm not sure if they have any experience with this, but the Braum actually wants to be Wing preemptively before the fight. That way, those first 2 Lucian bullets do that little bit of extra damage because you're giving him the buff with the W, the additional stats of armor and MR. And with the new Lucian passive, recently changed, last patch, back before maybe, giving him additional damage on those auto attacks. Kind of want to see it done that way, more so than afterwards, and get yourself that gap close, put yourself in between him and him and the enemy. Like, that's kind of what you want to do as this Braum is W in, throw up your shield, and have that Lucian push forward with the empowered auto attacks you gave him, as well as being a frontline for him. It's a little bit of a misplay. They could probably have gotten a kill at this point doing it. They missed out 1 or 2 because it was just that little bit of extra damage they needed. But as a whole, playing the lane well, this is going to be the point where Sivir starts falling off in terms of being able to farm. It's that first 6 levels she can comfortably do it because it's kind of difficult to kill him, but oh, Organized Crisis is just getting bullied again. It's...
Every single time we look up onto that top side, it is just Volibear slamming down the Thundering Claws, just getting the bites off, and it's just too much for the Mordekaiser.
There was a convention in Geneva about this, I'm almost positive. This is brutal.
Yeah, the Frenzy Maul, it just makes it so difficult for the Volibear to lose these trades, and you would say maybe Crisis should buy some... I've completely forgotten the title. Grievous Wounds, that's what I was thinking. Because the Volibear is healing a lot, and I think that's a big reason why Isha is actually winning these trades. If they weren't healing so much, maybe the Mordekaiser could turn it around, as we do see Fork was looking for a gank in the mid lane, but Darkweave able to play it safe and keep their distance.
Yeah, definitely just noticing that Isha also has the Grasp in this matchup, so isn't even doing as much damage as he can be doing, but is taking that kind of defensive rune to be, okay, we're going to play slow team fights and slow skirmishes. I'm going to get more healing, more benefit out of this. The additional max HP. Probably could have used the press the attack and gotten a kill or two, but this Grasp probably going to scale better for him. And realistically, all he has to do in these late game fights is throw himself at the enemy to give Sivir and Corki time.
Oh, the big pick there onto Darkweave. Curly going to find an easy kill there. Moonby just setting up on a plate with his dinner. As Mr. Carl going to be stepping forward, but here comes the TP. Volibear jumping straight in. Will be able to get the stun onto the Brom. Crisis joining the fight a little bit late, but they haven't managed to finish on Mr. Carl yet. He is walking free for the moment, as now Crisis in the wrong place at the wrong time. Will be dodging the hook, though, and does survive. So Dragon should be going the way of Ablaze Academy, but it could have gone a lot worse for Sacramento.
Yeah, I just point on Amumu's build here, actually. He went Sunfire Cape, which got nerfed a lot of times at the beginning of the season. I remember it was the most broken thing in the patch on release. But kind of what you want to be doing, you value either yourself or your team here, and he's valuing himself by giving himself the additional tenacity, and I mean, we're just seeing poor Mordekaiser getting bullied again.
Josh G in trouble here, going low. The Ignite takes over and they take down the Lucian. Now Organized Crisis in a bit of trouble in that mid side. Curly able to walk away, but Mr. Towie, guys, going to go back in onto Darkweave, who is going to try and kite this one out, but the step forward almost causing a lot of trouble. But there's the Disintegration Ray. Will pick up the double kill, and Darkweave ain't no joke. You can't mess around with his Vel'Koz.
He played that pretty well, but yeah, on the point of that Sunfire Cape, better for you. Gives you more tenacity and, you know, kind of lets you avoid the slows. But in this game specifically, realistically, the only thing you should ever be getting hit by is maybe a Braum Q on the way, and if you're ever in range to get Braum Q'd, you're in range to Q. So Frostfire will be more valuable here in this game, making yourself bigger, giving yourself a bigger E radius, a W radius. Even your Q gets slightly bigger with size, as well as that slow on the auto attacks. Your job here as this Amumu is jump at the enemy, keep them away from your carry. So Frostfire, definitely the better pickup here, but Sunfire can be good. It's just, what are you actually valuing as this Amumu?
Yeah, and we do have a slight DC there. The jungle did DC. I am Towie, guys. Hopefully you can get back into the game shortly, as we do have a quick pause, but it allows us to have a little bit of time to talk about the game. So right now, the state of the game does feel like Ablaze are slightly ahead. They are up about 1k gold, but it's very close. Yi has picked up some kills, so has Vel'Koz, so they have started to get some carries onto the board. And I will say that this Lucian pick not having the same impact as it did in the first game. And I am surprised. I don't know if that's because Senpai and Fork are playing it better, or if just because they aren't able to get anything really onto this matchup, as we do see Cool Snigel with the Herald able to get a few plates on that mid tower.
Yeah, definitely this bot lane matchup. They didn't get that level 1 advantage like in the last game, but they're also being kind of in a bad situation where they can't really find a good way to weave in the Qs from Braum and following it up with some chunk damage from the Lucian, because Sivir, her one good thing is she has incredible range. She can kind of just sit too far back and Q the wave. So what I'd love to see is them to correctly stack a wave, so bounce it, freezify their own tower, slow push 2 waves, and then they can, if they play correctly and only kind of last hit, all bar the last wave of these next 3, you build up 3 minion waves, you can then dive on that very easily because you have a huge wave crashing, and at that point, you know, they should call down Yi, and hopefully Yi can also have unlocked Vel'Koz strat. You 4-man dive, that is the only way you're going to kill this bot lane. Stack wave, dive. Stack wave, dive. your top lane is in a bad situation, you have to start making plays bot side, because you do get outscaled in team fights, and if they are ahead in any way, they dictate what types of fights are taken.
Yeah, and I'd like to see Cool Snigel maybe put some more players on the map. It feels like they've been quite quiet in both games, to be honest, and their top lane needs help. Their bot lane, as you said, push them to try and get ahead. They will get outscaled. The Vel'Koz doesn't necessarily get outscaled. I think the Vel'Koz will be quite strong in the late game as well. Bud is burst, and you need to get the Yi somewhat ready for this team fight, because if they don't have him ready to take on these ADCs, I don't really see how they're going to be able to kill off both carries.
Yeah, definitely. The Yi should just keep power farming for right now. It's a lost cause to try to take a fight here 15 minutes. The enemy have more important items and more important carries. They could win a fight, but I'm not sure it's really worth it. You can give over one dragon more and be in a better spot. Getting caught
in so much trouble, and it's definitely a weird bush to sit in, but Fork and I'm Tower guys, it makes it happen. There's the tower turned off. Vel'Koz, good flash though, will get him away, and Isha not going to be able to lock it down. The Void Monster himself, as we do see, the tier 1 is going to be dropped by the side of Ablaze, and they take first brick.
Yeah, but on the bottom side, look at this Lucian and Braum kind of wailing on this turret as well. They can probably pick up this wave. I think if they push it... Ooh, I disagree with this move. They should actually push that wave, get it shoved in. Because right now, if Senpai and Fork play this correctly, they can set up a perma-freeze immediately just outside their turret. And Lucian and Braum are going to have to extend really deep to try and break it. And that leaves them susceptible to the Amumu walking behind them, or even the Corki trying to get behind them with package maybe. So I disagree with that move. And it is kind of a more, you have to be aware of what waves do, and it can be kind of hard for people to understand that. Even I coach some teams that are some challenger players, and they don't fully understand waves, but it is definitely something, if you ever want to improve at League of Legends, especially in competitive, learn a little bit about wave manipulation, and I promise you, games become so much easier, because if you know it, the enemy doesn't, you instantly get this type of advantage.
Indeed, and we are gonna have a Cloud Soul this game, so not the greatest Drake to fight for, but still a soul is a soul, as we do see Isha going to be ganked now by Mr. Cole and the Cool Snigel, but into the death realm they do go first. Kryze is going to be able to get quite a lot of Isha's health here, actually almost just winning the 1v1 straight away, but it's going to be picked up by Cool Snigel. The kill donated over to the Yi, but saying that Dark Weave now on the other side of the map in the same amount of trouble, trying to survive. They're going to get locked down as that death ray comes through. The hook hits. The damage will be done by Fork, which again, maybe could have been better onto the Sivir, but a kill is a kill, and they're able to get that pressure, and I imagine they're going to be able to get the spot wave as well, although saying that, they turn on the dragon first. Yeah,
definitely, the dragon's probably more valuable here. It kind of gives you more time to just say, okay, we can give up a Drake or two. Realistically, you don't actually have to fight for dragons in a disadvantaged position until it's that Drake soul, because then they get a massive bonus. You can give up a dragon or two if it suits your team better. And they can actually... This wave will slowly bounce if Josh pushes it at all, so they can set up that freeze I was talking about earlier, but looks like they're going top lane, maybe to swap the lane or try to clear out vision. I'm kind of unsure. Someone should be walking bot right now, ideally either Curly or Senpai. I think they're yeah, I'm very confused actually.
Yeah, so am I. I'm surprised they didn't go for the tower at all. I think the Sivir could have stayed, maybe got a bit of damage there, picked up that tower and got a bit of gold, and then they would have been open to going top to try and crack the third tower, but instead they kind of just let it go, and they lose their top side tower. Now they're down one tower. The gold still slightly favoured over to the side of Ablaze. They are 1.5 now ahead, which is a small improvement to what they were before, but I think they could be even further ahead if they were able to push some of these advantages.
Yeah, definitely, and they do put Ishka bot lane with that TP, with this Herald coming up. You kind of want to put your TP, the strong solo laner, as far away as you can put it, so they can either pressure or TP in, but I kind of don't even think it's particularly worth. What I would have done there personally is just put the Sivir mid, put the Corki bot, keep the Volibear top. I don't think the enemy were ever going to contest you. on that Herald, and God forbid they did, the Corki kind of melts turrets at this point. He just finished his Immortal Shield Bow, and he has the Sorcerer's Boots. He does quite a lot of damage, so...
Now they've brought their members up to the top side, reducing the TP. It's going to be coming through. Mr. Cole looking for the engage. Fork going to be going super low. They're picked up immediately, but in goes Isha, trying to turn this one around, but there is the Ray of Doom. Going to be causing a lot of troubles for them. Iron Tower guy is going to be going pretty low, but still alive. Does finally fall, and Snigel will be dropped as well. It's a 3 versus 2, but both carries for the side of Ablaze still alive. They're trying to walk out of this one, and I think Josh G not going to be bold enough to keep pushing, but a 3 for 2 over to the side of Sacramentum is going to be what the doctor ordered.
Yeah, luckily for Ablaze, it's not the worst situation. They did have that mid wave and top wave and even bot wave. Now they look at it all pushed in, so realistically all that went over there was gold and kills. You know, what you want to do is realistically, you know, get your waves in. That way if you do win these fights, you immediately have something to pivot into, like hitting a turret or something. And for Blaze's side, luckily all the waves were too far away from any objective, so all Sacramentum got was tempo and gold, which is very valuable, but that could have been a lot worse. Very strange fight to take in the first place, actually.
Yeah, we're going to see this lethality Sivir as well, so going for the boomerang rather than the auto attacks, which is definitely an interesting one. I can't say that I dislike it. I quite like lethality Sivir, but with the composition of the enemy team, do you think crit maybe would have been a better option?
No, actually, and my reasoning is I don't think she can ever get in range to actually auto-attack. Because if you're in range of the Master Yi, or the Braum, or the Lucian, or even the Mordekaiser, they beat you straight up. They will just get on you and you die. So trying to fish with the Q is quite valuable, especially because the only people you need to really kill are Vigar in a team fight, or Master Yi in a team fight. You can half health those in one Q. Well, that's more valuable than getting some crits, I think. But definitely crits are usually the play.
Indeed, as we do see the top tower was taken down by the Herald, and bot tower has been dropped by Isha. The Volibear still just having so much presence in this game, as we do see the culling dropped onto Iron Tower, guys. But here comes the rest of the team. Isha over the wall. They pick up Yi immediately, but into the disintegration ray they go. Dark Weave able to drop a lot of damage, and that's a triple kill over to the side of Sacramentum. They're now able to start walking down Ablaze, but once again the Corki and the Sivir still alive. But this tower not going to be long for this world. It should be taken in the next push if they are able to do so. Although saying that, Senpai able to hold the wave off, but they're setting up a death brush. They want to try and catch out this Corki and the Sivir before this Drake. Yeah,
this is what we would refer to as compositional misidentity. It's where Ablaze are kind of, they have a comp that wants to play a specific way, right? They want to play that front-to-back team fight we were talking about. And what they're doing is they're going for these picks, where they're not playing to what their comp wants to do. So they're actually losing these fights, despite arguably being in a better spot. And they've done this 2 or 3 times in a row now, and they're playing exactly to the opposite comp's win con.
Oh, here we go though, another fight going to be going down package into the back line, but Snigel looking to pick up this kill onto the Corki, who's trying to run away, but the Alpha Strike going to keep them very much there. However, Sivir has picked up the Illusion already. Organized Crisis now running around in the back line. Dark Weave going to lock down another as they do go aggressive onto the Vel'Koz, but it's not going to be enough, and this feels all Sacramentum as they drop the ace on to this team. Ablaze not able to take these really awkward fights, and it's going to be another one over to Sacramentum, now potentially looking for the Baron as well as the Drake that they just secured.
What I want to see from Sacramentum is go back to what was working. Just control these waves and pick up your jungle. You've made a couple of errors by playing to the enemy's comp. What Sacramentum want is, hey, we're going to take this big scrappy team fight where we have the ability to split you up. What Ablaze want is you have to get to us by us falling back and having to get through these 3 big mega tanks in Volibear and Mumu, and to a lesser extent Thresh. It's just misidentifying what your comp's condition actually is. And all they gotta do is put Corki one lane, put Volibear in the other, preferably whichever one has TP on the opposite side to the objective you're going to fight next, and let them win their isolated 1v1s. Corki pushes in this Vel'Koz. Volibear, as we've seen all game, has been slapping this Mordekaiser left, right, and center, and Sivir can just sit back with an Amumu and a Thresh Peeler and just insta-clear mid-waves, right? And you just keep doing this until your Corki hits 3 items, your Sivir hits 3 items, and then you just take objective-based team fights. You set them up, and you wait for the enemy to walk into you. Stop trying to pick them off, stop trying to take scrappy team fights that aren't needed, and just play the slow, objective game. Comp's win con, that's your win con.
Indeed, and we do see back on the map they go, Ablaze. They scale pretty well. We've talked about their scaling aspect, so it does feel like they can long out the game, but losing their lead and allowing this team of Sacramentum to start to pick up a bit of momentum is definitely a bit of a risky moment, and Vel'Koz is someone you have to keep your eye on. Darkweave is dropping so much damage in these team fights, just absolutely unfocused as well. No one is targeting the Vel'Koz yet, and I think it is really starting to hurt them, and I do agree with you. I think splitting them open the map would be huge for them. They were winning when they were in laning phase, and they can just return to that if they do go for that 1-3-1, and if the side of Sacramentum want to try and force out the kill onto Isha with 4 members if they do go to the bot lane, then they can just look for the Baron.
Exactly, that's exactly what you want them to do. These, we call them spread comps, where you bring out the game, you try to slow it down by not having things be able to happen constantly. What you do is you force the enemy to make a decision, and the enemy, 9 times out of 10, will either take a good decision for you, or a mediocre decision that you can then mechanically outplay. And that's kind of the old Korean style. It's less so like you being better, and more you force the enemy to make a decision, because the enemy are going to panic to make that decision, and they won't have all the information.
Yeah, and Senpai now going to be in a lot of trouble here as Josh G found them looking for this kill. The Culling going over the top, but didn't manage to lock him down just yet. They are still running away as Iron Towie guys now in the Death Realm with the Mordekais. They're not exactly where they want to be, but they haven't fallen just yet. And they're starting to walk away life intact. And that is 2 kills that could have been going down, but it will not. But onto the Baron, they are able to go. Snigel with so much damage should be able to pick this up pretty quickly, and no one is near to contest this.
Yeah, massive macro error there from Ablaze, showing the Amumu bot lane for no real reason, giving away that free Baron, and well, now they can't even do what their comp wants, because the enemy are just going to death ball down mid or death ball somewhere, and you have to put pretty much your entire team to deal with them. I do kind of actually disagree with, sorry to cut you off, Vel'Koz build. He has the fully stacked tier, and he's going for the Zhonya's, and we've seen in these team fights, no one's really able to access him. That's a little bit of kind of like misbuilding. It's losing to Boris, actually. You definitely could be doing more if you went to the other build, but you know, I'll never kind of flame someone for taking the defensive safe option, I guess. But could definitely be pushing his lead more if he turned all that gold at 2,700 into the items for Seraph's Embrace, where he would be outputting so much more damage with those death rays.
Yeah, and I think there are ways that the side of Ablaze could start to pick up some team fights. I think they realistically just give this dragon over. It's not only ticking the clock on that Baron buff, but it's also just not really that worth contesting. They don't gain loads and loads from the Cloud Soul. Yes, Master Yi is probably the best person with it, but at the same time, it's better than losing another team fight, losing momentum, and then opening up the map with the Baron.
Exactly. If you even just look at the items, Corki's maybe only 5 or 6 big waves away from finishing his rapid fire cannon. That's when that champion really comes online. He'll, be able to probably half health any. Same with that Sivir, about to finish both her tier item and most likely Lord Tom's. But this team fight is.
The team fight's a little bit yikes. Corki, they're going to be blown up immediately. Untitled guys trying to walk away, but there's the Alpha Strike into the backline. It's going to be locked down underneath the tower, but Snigel able to do so much damage. The Alpha Strike to get away from the tower shots will set them up to run down this tower, and a questionable position for Ablaze just sets this game alight. Sacramentum should be able to pick this game up with relative ease, although saying that, Isha trying to turn it around, but it's going to be locked down. They will have the damage, although saying that, the stasis going to keep him alive for a little bit longer. Snigel Air with the Alpha Strike will be able to pick up the kill, and that's another tower going down. Fork not going to be able to defend this base. They will take game 2, and it's 1-1 in the series.
Yeah, unfortunate loss there from Ablaze, and it was kind of just down to like trying to do too much with a comp that doesn't want to do anything. Very unfortunate. Hopefully they can bounce back next game. You can tell in these games, Sacramentum is the one dictating the games most of the time. You know, game one, they pretty much decided what happened for the first 20 minutes and then kind of threw it a couple of times, losing the game, unfortunately. And then this game, it was all Sacramentum being, okay, we're doing this, and we're doing this. And a lot of it was just kind of off of them playing how their comp wanted and the enemy going, okay, we'll take that trade.
Indeed. And I think that Ablaze, they were able to play to that late game last time. I'm not really sure why they kind of opted out of that situation. I think that they had a really strong comp in game one, and apart from the Kled, they could have just run back the same comp, and it probably would have done a little bit better than how they ended up managing in the second. But they still have game three. They can come back, they can rethink this, and make sure they can pick up the win, because now it's anyone's game. Whoever wins game three takes it all. They will be able to take the series, and that is all that you come here for. And with that being said, we are going to throw to a quick break. We'll be right back in about 5 minutes, so don't go anywhere.
redemption on the other side. We're standing on the burning ride. Alright, 'cause we are timeless. Our future knows not your pain. Our past knows only victory. So we still remain. Fellow armsmen, I ask you, will you follow me tonight to break their spine and reclaim what once was mine? Those cravens backstabbed me, deceived me. Never shall I tolerate their crimes again. Now let the hunt begin. Souls scared and daunted, such a tale of woe. Not too long ago, this village was a golden scene of hope. Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our Gloria to live forever. Dark regime, I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order. I am the light bringer. Fellow warriors, I ask you, should my campaign come to an end, there's way more to avenge. 15 million souls living in this realm without much hope. Not too long ago, this kingdom was a golden state of hope. Restore our Gloria to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order.
Okay, we are back for the finale, and it is going to be one that you are definitely excited that you came to watch, because this series has gone from strength to strength. Game 1, Ablaze finding what they needed to do to get the win after a really good start from Sacramentum, and then Sacramentum finding themselves the second game win that they very much deserved. And we'll see how the teams look for Game 3, as this deciding game will be no less spicy than an extra hot Nando.
Oh, you love your Nandos, man. I love it. Yeah, this has been an interesting series so far. Definitely, you can tell it's two conflicting play styles, but you know, these bands are staying the same. The Azir for Sacramentum side and the Urgot for Ablaze's side. making sure these mains cannot play their champion.
Yeah, and I like the bans. I think the Azir ban is worth it, the Urgot and the Samira as well. I expect Declared to remain because it did help them out, and we do see it right there. And I do wonder if anything will change, because the Ezreal ban has been thrown out by the side of Sacramentum. I do wonder if they put it in once again, or if maybe they want to take out the Volibear.
Yeah, the Volibear definitely kind of made like Organized Crisis not really be allowed to play the game, unfortunately, but they ended up getting the win. So, I mean, if Organized Crisis can kind of just find a level of stability, Sacramentum kind of don't have this big glaring weak point in their early game, and could definitely make the games easier for them.
Yeah, we do see the Mordekaiser band away there, so not going to opt into playing that once again. And we see a first pick at Moo this time. So no Thresh on first pick, which means that Mr. Carl could pick it up.
Yeah, definitely. This Amumu has been incredibly high priority in this series, but Taui did definitely put on a early game clinical on a Amumu, making sure every lane had impact in the first 6 levels from himself, but unfortunately couldn't pick up that win. Seraphine is an interesting one. I kind of hope that goes into the mid lane, because I don't think it really fits Mr. Carl's playstyle of engage, but you never know. This could also just be Josh G's Seraphine. It could be anyone's Seraphine, and I already hate this comp.
Hate because you dislike the comp, or hate because you wouldn't want to play against it?
A little bit of both. It's a very finicky comp. You have to play pretty much one way and only one way, or you lose. You have to play slow, protect the X comps, and this X either being the Senna, or maybe being something like a mid lane Veigar, or I could see a Viego of some sorts, but it's they're pretty much like forcing themselves to play a very specific type of comp.
Yeah, and we see the Senna lock-in. I don't really love the Senna for Sacramentum, because they've been playing very aggressive early, and that kind of just goes against everything they've been doing. So I'm not sold on it just yet. The Ashe and the Nautilus there going to be coming out from the side of Ablaze, and I do like that. I like this duo bot. I think it's very strong. It gives them a lot of lockdown, and also with the Amumu, they look like they're going to be going for more of a team fight focused comp.
Yeah, definitely. You can tell that Ablaze's side kind of can pick anything they want now in these last 2 picks. For blue side, they have this lockdown, they have the CC, they have the disengage already in their first 3 picks, and they kind of haven't given away anything. I don't know what kind of inspired Sacramentum to say, hey, we're going to pick Seraphine Senna. It can work, but you kind of want to be saving things like Senna for later picks, especially considering she's not very prevalent in the meta, and from my opinion, isn't amazing right now either, unless you can build a comp that is purely designed to allow Senna to free hit. And unfortunately, the 2 champions they pick around her do not enable that.
Yeah, I'm also not sold on it just yet. I don't majorly love Senna anyway at the best of times, and especially not when it's not set up nicely either, as we do see the Vel'Koz banned away, the Nico and the Corki both removed from Curly, so both of his picks have been taken off, which means we're going to get a third new pick coming through, and the Anivia also banned out. So a lot of mid bans so far. That could also still be a Seraphine mid, so we can't fully count that one out.
I would actually love right now to see the Braum to give that additional protection for Senna. Just put that Seraphine in mid lane and just try to play this really pray to God type of comp. You need some sort of protection for the Senna. I think if you put both Senna and Seraphine in the spot lane versus Ashe and a Nautilus with a Mumu thrown in there as well, they're just gonna die, and then they'll die, and then maybe 1 or 2 other times they will die. It's a very difficult game to play, especially as 2 hyper-immobile champions.
Yeah, the Galio there being locked in. The Silas has been picked up as well, so a decent amount of damage could be coming out from Dark Weeb, as we do see the final lock-in coming out from Ablaze. And how will they round out this comp? I feel like they need a little bit more damage, so maybe they're going to put Isha on something that can carry pretty hard. We'll have to see how this one does go, as it is going to be the Irelia.
Oh,
Jax. Okay, they made me at the end.
Okay, yeah, no, this is a very good pick. Does well into Silas, does very well into Volibear. you are going to just pretty much put Galio somewhere, put Jax in a side lane, and protect Ashe with your waves, and you win the game through split push, as well as having very good move to position. So Ashe can throw out her ult, and that is not what I thought I would see.
Yep, that is not what I thought I'd see either. I don't particularly like it either. Not just to be the buzzkill into Sacramentum's comp, but I don't really like Red Kayn. I think that it's strong. I think it has a place, but it's not this team. I think that there's not really much in the way of protect. It feels like they've gone for 3 bruises and then just said we have heals, we have shields, but your heals and shields aren't going to be protected. They're going to be absolutely smashed up by this Jax or the Galio or potentially the Nautilus and Mumu that are jumping on top of it. And there's a lot of protection for this Ashe that I don't know if Sylas Kayn are going to be able to get through.
Yeah, definitely. Like, Sacramentum can win this game very easily if they play to be second to objectives. Comps like this, poke comps, if you have an Ezreal or such, it's actually usually better to be there second. That way the enemy are forced to be in a specific spot, and you can just throw things at them. That's all really Senna and Seraphine are going to be able to do, is hopefully throw out a Q, a W, maybe a Seraphine E to try and pick up a thing. But this comp is very expressive. You will see the mechanical ability of these players, and if you don't, I see a very slim chance. I would put it at like sub 5% chance of actually winning this game because they lack pretty much any identity.
That is a low bet right there. That is a big one right there to throw out. And if you do believe in what Damon says, then let us know with your channel points. Put your bets either side. I feel like I want to just drop my 55k. I won it last week when I bet against I don't remember who they were playing against, but when I bet for Ablaze last week. So I'm tempted just to drop my money right now and say that I personally think Ablaze are going to win this one.
Do it, coward.
All right, well, we're going to do it. I'm going to drop some stacks into this betting system, and boom, there we go. 55,800. That's all my channel points right there on to Ablaze. I put my money where my mouth is. I want to see you guys in chat do the same. Right now, the stacks are pretty high, 41k to 56.2k. So let us know who you think is going to take this one and take game 3, the all-important final game. The rest of the series doesn't really mean anything. It's all down to this game 1. Who is going to get it done? Or sorry, best of 1. And let the best team win. Is the fire going to be too hot? Is Sacramento going to be able to come through and smoke them like they did in game 2?
Yeah, from Ablaze's point, you're just kind of, if you're saying to anything in your team, it's like, all right, bot lane, just try to find a hook, try to get a pick. Don't force yourself. Mid lane, just play it slow. Do not give this guy an advantage. This game is going to revolve around Ishka being able to just win lane through the interaction of Jax E to Volibear trying to, Q him, W him, even E him to an extent. It becomes very easy for Jax after level 6 to just kind of dictate the game pace. And if this Jax is the smallest bit ahead, you have this massive side lane threat that can pretty much take over the game solo. On the flip, Sacramentum can win this if they get either Volibear ahead, or if Senna and Seraphine can do something in the early game. You also have a Sylas who's kind of has 4 really good ults, a Mumu ult, Galio ult, Ashe ult, and Nautilus ult to work with. But this is not a team that's going to come down to compositional difference. This is going to come down to, am I the better mechanical player in these situations for Sacramentum? And we've seen it. They are mechanically very good. Dark Weave has played pretty good in pretty much every mechanical situation, but this is going to be a rough one. Going to be an interesting game. I hope Sacramentum can get a little bit of a lead and we see a scrap back, because from an analytic point of view, this is a one and done. This is where you fire your coaching staff.
Well, we will see what does happen. I am excited for this game because it feels like we're going to get a very explosive, very interactive game from the two teams. A lot of team fighting could be going down, and I cannot wait. I love games that are just team fight, and this could be one of those. So we're going to be loading into this game. We do have a very short pause, but we will be loading in shortly, and I'm expecting a banger. I'm not going to lie. Let's lay it down. This is where you play your best stuff. You just throw caution to the wind and you just go absolutely ham and you try to pick up this dub.
Yeah, while we're kind of loading in, I'm just going to take a look at some of the summoners and things. Pretty much everything's normal except maybe that Conqueror. I'd much rather Aftershock, actually, on this Amumu specifically. And then same with Seraphine, kind of rather would have seen that Guardian.
Indeed, and I am at 10 seconds.
And myself?
Waiting for this one to go. Oh, and here we go into game number 3, the finale. And I am so excited for this one. Will we see any crazy level 1s? It does look like both teams are going to be stacking up.
Yeah. Very important to point out, actually, before we get into any action, the cleanse on this Seraphine, or on this Senna, is a mobile champion, and it's Ash Nautilus. People forget that cleanse actually gives you a 60% reduction for follow-up CC after you use it, so...
Ooh, Flash over there onto Organized Crisis is going to try and walk away from this one, looking to flash over the wall. A lot of damage was going down, but he will be able to burn that flash and get away. But for the support flash, and Nautilus has Hex Flash, as well, so not really going to be costing Fork too much.
Yeah, definitely. Did mechanically miss by that very slightly. He could have waited about half a second or so more before auto-attacking, and he would have gotten an additional maybe... about full second of CC. Nautilus, you don't actually want to immediately auto-attack after hooking, because the hook has slight end delay on the CC, so if you layered that correctly, Ash might have been able to get an extra slower too often. That could have been all the difference between a kill there. And we won't talk about that hook he tried to just do.
I think he was just checking to make sure that they weren't in that bush. They are going to avoid the tri-bush, though, but I actually think that Joshi and Mr. Cole may not have won that. It depends whether they were able to get all their damage off the Senpai and Fork not tank it up.
I mean, if I was Sacramentum's team here, all I would have done was E on the Seraphine, throw out a Q, and walk the hell away. Ooh, lovely hook, actually.
Good hook going to Mr. Cole. A lot of damage going down onto Seraphine immediately, and we do see big trades in the mid lane as well. Curly able to get the better of the Silas is in the top side. Isha and Organized Crisis, they've changed places. Now the Volibear is in the hands of Crisis.
Yeah, but unfortunately is in a really bad matchup. Kind of disagree with the Jax's build and taking that early level 1 fight. You start winning this matchup at level 3, you can survive. Any time past that, you just slowly start out scaling. I would have taken Corrupting Potion in this and tried to set up a Cheater Recall, which is where you only last hit the first wave, you trim the second wave, and you hard push the third, getting a free reset.
Well, right now we do see a bit of an engage there. The Ignite going down onto Joshi will have to flash away, and Fork able to push the pressure of this bot lane as we do see Crisis stepping forward there. Not going to get the best trade though. Counter-Strike going to be able to dodge a lot of the Volibear's damage.
You can see that interaction between Jax and Volibear. All of Volibear's primary abilities, the stun, the heal, are auto-attack based. The Counter-Strike completely negates all that. It's a very difficult match, especially once Jax finishes his first item. He just kind of starts wailing on you, and you can't really do much without calling your jungler there.
Indeed, as we do see so far, Ablaze looking stronger off of the get-go, but obviously we saw last game they were able to get a small lead, and they weren't really able to convert that into a win. So there is potential for Sacramentum still to pop off, as we do see I Am Towie, guys, very low here, and cool. Snigel, though, getting ganked by the laners. We're going to be able to get away.
Yeah, we actually just saw Ash try to get a free recall off there, but the wave was in a little bit of a bad situation. Wasn't perfect for the situation to recall in that spot, but you know, definitely still has advantage. You know, he's going to be able to pick up maybe 8 or 9 CS when she gets back to lane, and the Nautilus probably should have roamed up earlier. He was just kind of sitting there doing nothing. And that could have been a kill if he was there earlier, there faster. Could have found that Kayn and could have gotten that kill. So just a little bit of maybe uncertainty is the correct word of what to do from Fork there. But to be fair, guy's been playing really well in these sets. Just a couple of minor mistakes here and there, but you know, everyone has those days.
Indeed, as we do see Mr. Cole getting closed down, but the wave going to keep them safe from that hook as Dark Weave once again trading with Galio, but not going to be able to land enough damage to really match the Stone Giant himself as or Gargoyle, I should say, as it's going pretty well for Curly in this mid lane.
Yeah, he's kind of had advantage in all 3 games in the early game, both off of champion picks and just playing the fights a little bit better, but Dark Weave, I would argue, has been playing mid and late game better, which does reflect the champions he's been picking. You know, the Veigar, the Vel'Koz, they have okay laning phase, but once they get out of laning phase, that's where they come online. So I think Jax has actually set up a perma-freeze if he doesn't break it here. Oh, this could be nasty, actually.
Nasty indeed there, as we already said, Volibear not going to have to better these trades, and if he has to force himself into these weird positions, then Jack's definitely going to have a lot of priority as Fork. Going to step forward, but Mr. Cole needs to be careful here. The hook, however, not going to land, but we'll be able to get the root. Now Ash stepping up, will Senpai have the damage? Joshi able to get a bit off as well, but the hook coming back, Mr. Cole going to flash away. Here come the rain of arrows, but it's not going to be enough. One more auto would have finished off Mr. Cole, but he will survive.
Fork slightly misplaying that mechanically, actually. Your W as Nautilus is an auto attack reset, so you want to Q in, you want to auto, immediately W for the reset. Could have actually been that damage difference. He kind of let her get an additional tick of healing, instead of just doing the chunk and keeping her slowed.
Oh, nice crisis. First blood to the Jax. It was only a matter of time until it went that way with the freeze as well. Just so much pressure. And it will be the first blood onto Isha, as the Dragon also going to be picked up there by the side of Ablaze. So taking their early lead this game 3.
Definitely, actually, Volibear built wrong. And I know that's kind of a crazy thing to say when he only has 2 items, but he took Doran's Shield. Doran's Shield is known to give you additional healing after taking damage. Jax isn't going to go for small trades, he's going to go for long, drawn-out trades to chunk you heavily. So Doran's Shield's value is quite low. You kind of only want to bring it into poke matchups, so your Nars, your Quins, things like this, things are going to be constantly hitting you to give you the healing back. He should have done...
Big fight into the mid, though. We do see Snigel able to get away. Did have to use Flash, though, as Hero's Entrance almost crushing the small Kane.
Yeah, definitely a good escape there from the Kane. But yeah, Volibear, I would have loved to have seen a Doran ring. Your E has amazing AP scaling. Would have helped him kind of stay relevant in the game. Would have given him that additional healing. And as you saw, at level 1, both of these guys burnt their pots. He would have had a pot advantage, giving him more freedom to play out this lane. It's a small little error. You don't think these things matter, but they're actually the most vital thing early game. Doesn't really matter about your champions. If you were building correctly, you can offset a lot of this issues.
Indeed, and we do see the Volibear now starting to fall quite far behind, 20 CS down, but he's going to be making a gank into the mid lane. Does have Stormbringer as well, so should be able to jump onto the Galio, but Curly able to get away. The Justice Punch just leading him out of that gank.
This is so painful for Crisis. He has a wave that's just perma-frozen. He went for a gank, he couldn't get it. Must feel awful. Awful to be this guy. Jesus. I just noticed there's double freezes going on.
Yeah, both sides of the map is not a good time. As we do see Dogweed stepping up there. We're going to steal away the ultimate from Amumu, and it's going to be an easy kill onto I Am Towie guys. But on the bot lane, they're still looking for this farm. But Fork is getting poked out quite a lot there, so we'll have to be a little bit careful as this lane does continue.
Yeah, I think Fork just needs to kind of stop looking for hooks, actually, which is kind of crazy. And as I say, he goes
over the all-in, they're going in. Mr. Cole going to be the first one to go down. Josh G trying to trade the damage. The flash forward for this route is going to be there. There's the Crystal Arrow as well. The Fork just walking away, and it's going to be a pickup for Senpai. But here comes Snigel. The knock-up great from Fork. He gets the route, but it's going to be the... I forgot the name of the ability, but he goes for the ulti. He's going to be picked up, though. The Ash taking 2 kills in that fight, and well played by Fork in the end, but we're not done yet. Dark Weave now trading over with Curly. Does miss the stun, though, and that should end the rest of this skirmish. Is Curly going to come out on top once again?
Now, while I was saying that he shouldn't be looking for hooks, free hooks like that definitely take, but he should stop fishing, which is where you're just throwing out hooks for the sake of it. He's taking way too much damage. He's giving away priority because if he's not healthy enough, they can't go for plays. Ash had a good freeze. All you gotta do is threaten the hook. You don't need to throw it. You just need to say, hey, if you step up, I will hook you. They got amazing 3 kills. He played that fight very well. Very, very well, I'll give it to him. Especially the play on the Kane, who, you know, he ults, he keeps him under tower, locked up. Very well played.
Yeah, the Humble Trespass just giving Cool Nigel enough time to stay alive and gives him time to pick up the kill. But going back to this top lane, it's a 33 CS advantage over to Isha, up 2 levels on the Volley Bear. And it looks like there might be another freeze happening as well, so it's not going to get any better.
I think this Jax is actually going Divine Sunder in this build, which isolated is better, gives you some healing, helps kill tanks, but with the recent changes to the item and kind of just Jax
caught out in his own jungle. The Amumu gets the stuns. Cool Nigel is going to go down, but the bot lane now turn this around. Hero's entrance going to come through, does bring into the Galio, but Carl going to be able to flash away. Should be able to get out. The volley does get the slow, but it's not going to lead them to get the hook. So a big trade in the jungle there does give Amumu a kill, and also the bot lane burning that flash on Seraphine once again.
Yeah, just to point on that, Jax would much rather see the Trinity Force here. It's not as good isolated into the Volley Bear, but against the rest of the team, the value offsets it. Could go into it, he could just be getting the Sheen and something else, but usually not the case. And honestly, this bot lane is rough to watch. Same with this top lane, but thankfully for Sacramentum, their jungler's doing acceptable and their mid lane's doing pretty okay, all things considered.
Saying that, they are going aggressive here. Curly is going to be getting ganked by a couple of members of this side, Crisis and Nigel, waiting for that. But I will say, is it a moment for Sacramentum where they're just weathering a storm? Do they come out on top later on in the game, or does it not get much better than this?
It's dependent on how much they're bleeding in this early game. If they can keep it at this 3,000 mark, they could come out and be okay. If they continue to let this Jax snowball this hard and lose fights in the bot side, I think
the bot side, we do see Amumu jumping in, gets the ultimate. Joshi low as well, going to be stunned up. Another kill over to the Ashe, and Darkweave come through with the TP, but maybe in trouble himself. The arrow going to connect, the taunt is there, the knock of the kill. It's all too much for the Silas to handle, and Isha joining the fight. We do get the knock onto the Volley Bear as well. Crisis trying to get away, but cannot.
Yeah, actually, Jax probably shouldn't have TP'd there. He could be, you know, crashing this wave, getting a turret or two, but yeah, they have maybe one more fight like that for Sacramentum before they pretty much have to pray to every god known to man to win this game. It's getting harder and harder by the second, and every death pretty much lowers their chance that bit with that much more. They don't have much left in the tank. They get outscaled. The enemy comes easier to execute. But, you know, Sacramentum pulled off the game last one where I thought, you know, they pretty much can't win, and Ablaze kind of made a couple of mistakes, major mistakes. So this game isn't over, but Sacramentum really need to kind of take a second, take this minute or two of breather and kind of go, okay, what's our condition? What do we got to do? You know, it's also kind of, I would have much rather had actually seen the Senna being the support. You know, they did increase the amount of souls you get while farming, but, like, it's still probably not enough to offset it. You probably wanted either a tank or this Seraphine to be farming. Seraphine can clear waves pretty okay and likes gold, and the Senna would have been able to get more souls, which is all that champion cares about. Items don't matter. It's about the souls. And her soul count right now is pretty low.
Seraphina Goblin confirmed, likes gold. Okay, nice to know. And we will see Darkweave just kind of hovering about, not having the best time because Curly isn't giving up too much. Although saying that, he's going to go in aggressive there. Cool Nigel was going to gank, but Senpai caught out here. Now we do have the Dawning Shadows as well. That's a lot of healing, a lot of shielding, and they are going to be able to take down the Ashe. So they pick up a kill, and in goes the hero's entrance. Darkweave able to get away for now. Isha trying to chase him down, but not going to be able to get close enough. And maybe a glimmer of hope here, although saying that Crisis gets locked down, immediately snatched up, and that glimmer may have just faded out as Borg going in here. I don't really know why he tried to 1v2 that.
Yeah, as I was saying, just a mistake can give him a window. All Ablaze have to do is just wait. Eventually these items come online for their carries, and you win the game by default. Now, I will actually say, I was talking about the Amumu build line. Sunfire is a lot more valuable this game. Much, much higher value.
Silas with the hero's entrance, they're not going to be able to land onto Fork, who is able to get away and takes him out of the lane. So going to give a little bit of time for Gallo to get back and not going to be pushed in, but he goes aggressive here. They pick up the kill off the Ash and they may be able to get the Fork as well. Trying to get out of the tower, the Ignite will tick over, and here comes Nigel back again onto the bot lane. Will be able to lock down Fork, and it's a 2-for-1, but Silas falling down could be a little bit costly as Amumu is pushing in that mid tower.
Yeah, I think Ablaze need to stop making these mistakes. They just give so much of that goal lead back, and it's back within that 3,000 mark. That's what I was saying. If at 20 minutes they can be 3,000 goal behind, they're actually in an okay spot. Bot lane, Senpai, Fork. Just stop looking for plays and just farm these waves. You're further ahead. You don't need to push your lead. That's not what your champions have to do. Ashe scales completely fine into this game, and Nautilus scales completely fine into this game. Doesn't matter if Senna is farming. She can't do anything in this game. She doesn't have the necessary tools on her team to set her up to succeed. Stop making the plays. Take a breather.
Yeah, and just to recap on the top lane, Jack's now up 50 CS, up 1 item, and just looking so destructive. But we haven't seen too much from Isha in the last few seconds, although saying that Crisis now maybe in a little bit of trouble is going to have to flash away, and the Jack's just asserting that dominance every time they get to that lane.
Yeah, this is where Jax really starts to win this matchup. Like, he was winning it earlier. It becomes unholy.
Depth charge onto Silas. They do get the hook back as well. Has stolen the arrow, but the crystal arrow going to miss from Ashe, and this could maybe be turned around, although it doesn't have the support from the team just yet, so not going to risk it. Ocean Soul is the goal this game. It is definitely worth it as they do get a Ashe arrow onto Fork. There's the encore as well, but they have only locked down the support. They do take him pretty convincingly though, and they might be able to take this Drake with it as well.
Fork is just disrespecting the enemy at this point. He's pathing very aggressively and unnecessarily, twice in a row now. He was super low on that last play, got turret though. The one we just witnessed, he doesn't need to path that way. Path with your team. He keeps making these mistakes and he keeps giving these advantages, these small incremental advantages back to Sacramentum. And he's kind of throwing the lead that they've built. They're probably relatively even gold right now. You know, maybe only 300-400 in the difference, which is kind of meaningless because Senna has all that additional gold from the stats her souls give her. Now, on the flip side, Jax is now going to win this match. The matchup actually only comes online for him at 1 item in level 11. You saw how heavily he was winning these trades earlier. It just got to a whole different level of unplayable for this Volibear. So, if Blaze can just realize, okay, our Jax is winning, put him in a side lane and let him win the game for him, I don't really think there's anything for Sacramentum to do. But if Ablaze keep going for these plays, these picks that go wrong, my prediction earlier could go very, very askew, not because of the comp, because people show disrespect to fellow competitors.
Yeah, and it's a sentiment where we saw this kind of game in Game 1, where Sacramentum got a very early lead. They then started showing a bit of disrespect. They weren't respecting the damage that could come through, and they threw it all away. And if you're a Blaze, you don't want to be going down that same path because it's exactly what we saw in Game 1. You should have, the Sacramentum should have won that game, and Blaze should be winning this one now, but it almost feels like they're trying to give Sacramentum a chance to get back into this because now the goal lead is only 3,000.
You know what? They wanted to make it a fun Game 3, I guess.
Indeed. Yeah, we do see Darkweed matching Isha. May have a little bit of a better time, but I will say Isha 1.5 items. It's looking pretty difficult for anyone to match them. Yeah, actually, probably still an okay matchup for the Jax. The Silas probably doesn't instantly die when he matches up to him, but you know, Volibear doesn't get to do anything. You're keeping Jax away from this next priority objective, that being the Baron or the Herald, depending on what you decide to do, and you're giving him access to immediate gold in that form in the tower. This Jax is going to be so difficult to deal with if Sacramentum don't start stabilizing.
They've been getting picks, not off of their own plays, off of mistake.
Oh, Anisha just taking the tower, was taking damage as well. Now going aggressive onto Dark Weave. Will get the Dawning Shadows out of the center as well. And it's just so destructive. The fact that we saw the Silas attacking the Jax and just completely ignoring it.
Yeah, Grandmaster's my kind of a broken ultimate ability that he didn't even need to use. Giving him those additional stats for these fights. That's the power of Jax, is free defensive stats.
Oh, moving with the flash. Oh, gonna come through with the hook, the death charge as well. There's the second bandage charge. Josh G gonna go golden, but he's not coming out first in this race. He gets picked up. Snigel maybe looking to turn this one around, but gonna get stunned up. Is the Dark in form, but it will not make a difference. Has to run away. TP gonna come out from Organized Crisis, but I don't think they will be able to do much either. As Senpai able just to start smashing down this turret. They've got Jax in the bot lane, the 4-man in the mid lane. Things are starting to fall apart for Sacramento.
Yeah, Josh G actually attempting to cleanse the Nautilus hook. Cleanse only works versus immobilization effects. Nothing that moves you, nothing that is a movement-based CC. Hooks, knock-up, displacements. So it's pretty much useless versus Nautilus, but it's very useful versus the Jax, the Amumu, and the Ashe ult. You have to save them for one of those three. You need to save it for the Jax getting onto you. You need to save it for the Amumu Q. Most likely the ult, because if he Qs you, he's already there. I need to save it for that Ashe ult. Do not try to use it versus Nautilus. It actually doesn't work versus his major CC.
Yeah, and we are seeing the very, very early setup from Sacramentum around this dragon, and 44 seconds until it spawns. They were able to pick up the third Drake of the game, the first Ocean Drake on the map, and it kind of puts this question in my mind of, if they win this, do they keep a lot of the momentum? If they can get this Drake, maybe even pick up an even team fight, I do think things look okay for Sacramentum, but I don't see them really being able to contest this properly.
Yeah, it should be pretty much impossible. This Jax, honestly, should not have reset in that situation, and should just TP top right now. This Drake does not matter if they do get it.
Oh, fight starting without him, though, could be costly. Amumu in the backline, though, coming through, absolutely smashing them up. And this Jax is just going ham. This fight does not look even slightly even. That's going to be 4. There is 5. The 8 on the Rift. They're looking for the base, and this game is broken wide open once again. The gold lead has gone straight back up to that 9k, and Ablaze looking dominant.
If I was Ablaze right now, I would ignore mid lane. It's not important. You can get it later. Send Jax up the top and send everyone else to this Baron right now. You can't end the game here. It's too difficult. You can get an inhib if you don't do a lot with this inhib. If you don't get both our turrets and the Baron off of this, it's actually just giving advantage to Sacramento. They're getting more gold into them. They're getting more XP. I would have loved to have seen them just say, we can get that with the Baron. Let's get the Baron. Let's get some towers.
Yeah, top there, definitely a juicy prize as the wave was crashed in, but they're not going to get it just yet. They will reset before they go for the Baron. And yeah, I think Baron is definitely kind of the make or break right here. If they get Baron, they can pretty much end the game straight away. And it's a bit of a catch-22 if you're Sacramento, because you have to fight it, but we just saw how that last team fight went. It's not going to go your way. If you go for the steal, you're one person down, but you might be able to get the Baron. And if you don't fight it, then they're going to be able to fight you with Baron buff, win that fight, and just take the game.
Yeah, actually, Senna just ulted to try and check the Baron. Doesn't actually work. Versus Baron, Senna ult doesn't actually damage Baron. It is actually only enemy champions and allied champions. Doesn't affect minions. So she just kind of did it to check. But honestly, you could have just sent someone to wave. That is a major cooldown that's on CD for like the next 2 minutes or so. So that's a huge window where Jax can just free fight in the side lane, and he doesn't have to fear about the Senna ult changing the course of it.
Yeah, and to be honest, at this point, I don't think he even would care about it nonetheless, because he's so powerful. I don't think anyone can even get him low at all. 3 levels up on the Volley Bear. 2 levels up on the Silas, which is the highest level on Sacramentum, as we do have a pause. And I think we will be back in a moment. Stay tuned.
3 levels up on the Volley Bear. 2 levels up on the Silas, which is the highest level on Sacramentum, as we do have a pause. And I think we will be back in a moment. Stay tuned. 3 levels up on the Silas, which is the highest level on Sacramentum, as we do have a pause. And I think we will be back in a moment. Stay tuned. 3 levels up on the Silas, which is the highest level on Sacramentum, as we do have a pause. And I think we will be back in a moment. Stay tuned. 3 levels up on the Silas, which is the highest level on Sacramentum, as we do have a pause. And I think we will be back in a moment. Stay tuned. 3 levels up on the Silas, which is the highest level on Sacramentum, as we do have a pause. And I think we will be back in a moment. Stay tuned. 3 levels up on the Silas, which is the highest level on Sacramentum, as we do have a pause
And I am Towie, guys. Should be reconnecting pretty shortly. The Baron buff is the prize. I'm surprised that they're not moving the Ashe over to the top side. And I will say, Isha, no TP. So if they did go for the Baron right now, it would be a 4 versus 5 potentially, if all of Sacramentum went to the top side.
The issue for Sacramentum here is, if they do send 5 people, Jax just ends the game. They have to have someone matching him, which means it has to either be Senna, who can wave clear efficiently versus him, or it has to be the Sylas, who can kind of survive the fight versus Jax. And if one of those aren't there, Ablaze knows that they can do whatever they want for a minute. Jax will eventually take these turrets, and they don't have to force themselves to do these Barons. They can take it slow, they can take it easy.
Indeed, and we will see if this one does come through. This tier 2 tower, definitely in a dire state, and I'm not going to lie, Josh G might be able to clear these waves, but the threat potential of the Jax dive is pretty massive. 3 levels up, plus the ultimate ready. I don't know if they're going to be able to survive that.
I'm pretty sure at this point, if Jax Qs, autos, and then Ws, Senna dies. Almost positive, like full 100 to 0.
That's a pretty sad prognosis for the Senna right there. If you get hit by the unavoidable spells of the Jax, then you will die. Hopefully, for Senna's sake, that doesn't happen immediately, but I have a feeling it probably will happen pretty soon.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one. Senna also completely maybe just about has enough for a W, but her flash is maybe 5 seconds, 10 seconds off a cooldown. The cleanse is completely useless because Jax doesn't need the E to kill you. You need to run away the second the game starts, and you tell Sylas, hey, you have to match this guy, let me deal with the mid-wave.
Yeah, and even Sylas, we saw, didn't have the best time, but I do agree it would be better than sending your ADC, and we can already see that they've used the Shroud, so they're not even going to be able to avoid any of these auto attacks at all, and it just makes him a standing target. They don't have very much mana either, so all in all, it doesn't feel like the best play to send Josh G this way.
Yeah, this was a draft error from Sacramentum, but I think if you're coming out of this and you're like, okay, well, we managed to stall this out for 25, maybe 30 minutes if they do lose this, and they managed to kind of have an okay transitional period from early to mid-game, you can come out of this saying, like, okay, if we just fix up draft errors and we kind of actually show respect in games we're winning, Sacramentum have looked strong in these 3 games. Well, maybe not so much the last one, but they can still take some good away from such a bad situation.
No, I definitely agree. I think they looked really strong in Game 1. Game 2, very powerful as well. So it's definitely been a close series. It's not been a whitewash by any chance. And Isha still giving some respect over to the Senators. They are going to send the Sylas as well, but it means that the mid-wave is going to be pushing, so Baron is very much open for the taking for Ablaze.
Yeah, I'm not sure why Ablaze isn't just baiting around Baron. You know, just kind of starting it, bouncing off, starting it, bouncing off. They have people who could tank it, but I don't know, maybe they just don't feel comfortable doing it, but they should just start Baron. The enemy show up, you back off, Jax gets to freely walk down bot lane. It's a very easy macro position for Ablaze, but I just don't think they're comfortable. But they are starting this. Jax can theoretically even outplay this.
Oh, goes forward, the flash from Josh G was there, does get hit with the W, now trying to stay alive, but he might go down, although he might take Josh G with him, he picked up 1, it was a 1 versus 4, and he managed to close the door on at least one of their members, almost taking potentially a few more with him, but it's going to be the Baron now over to the side of Ablaze, and we talked about exactly what had to be done. They did it to a T, and now with the Baron, I want to see them start pushing in these ways, pushing in these tier 2 towers, and start opening up this base.
Yeah, if I was Ablaze right now, I put Galio in mid lane, hovering in the jungle around bot side, the other 3 sieging up bot lane, and you put Jax top lane, and you just slowly sync up your waves. You bounce them together, eventually the enemy will misstep, and the Jax can take the angle to either kill whoever messes up and comes to deal with him, or they can just play it super slow and siege and choke them out. This is such a good position for Ablaze. If they play this even 50% correctly, I think this one's a GG.
Yeah, and this is a sentiment where you want to show that you can play macro well. So this is not just about winning. It's about winning comfortably and making it look like you intended to do what you wanted to do. So we want to see the macro decisions made by Ablaze to show the other teams that, like, look, if we're ahead, we can take the game in quick succession and do it correctly and clinically.
Exactly. It doesn't matter about how you got here. It matters about, okay, we're in this position. What do we do? It's actually a very important part of late game League of Legends. Is your team fighting? The other half is, are you in the right place? If you can do one of them correctly, you can win a lot of games, especially in leagues like VL, where not everyone is a god.
Isha just absolutely slaps the Volibear down. They're going to have to send a replacement to the top side because Isha has already finished off one of them. Going to be taking that tower. They've taken both tier 2s now, and the Baron up minions going to be making their way down to this tier 3 in the bot side. They sent Josh G up to match up Isha, but I don't know if that's going to work out too well either.
The Galio actually here should just be sitting mid lane, empowering those minions. He has the ult range for both Jax and his bot lane. Slight improvement, but they're playing this correctly. They're not trying to dive or force. They're letting the minions take the turret for them.
Dark Weave there, stepping forward, going to be matched by the Jax. Does have the Ash Arrow, but it's not going to really mean too much. Jax does go... Oh, sorry, Silas goes into stasis, but Jack's still alive, taking a lot of tower damage there. Will go down to Snigel, but the rest of the team may not be able to survive without him as they do go aggressive. The Amumu getting a big stun. However, the Encore going to be leading this fight. Snigel still doing a lot of damage, and Senpai now having to dish it out because his team are falling around behind him, but he goes to attack the inhib there. A little bit of a misstep as Snigel going to clean up another kill, but I'm Towie, guys, just draining the health bars. The tears are falling, but... they do not win the fight. Triple kill over to the Kane. And a bit of a surprise, a bit of a shock, as we do see Sacramentum living another day.
Sacramentum playing that quite well, making sure they're keeping the Jax under turret. The Jax at any point could have just dipped out, reset the aggro, and probably won that fight, but they played it correctly from Sacramentum's point of view. It was still a really close fight, but if Jax makes mistakes like that, the game is winnable. However, he's TPing in.
The Dragon going to have the counter strike up, looking for the double stun, and he gets it immediately. That's going to be Snigel going down. Same with the Volibear. That's an easy double kill, and they're going to be able to pick up the Ocean Soul here. No hope for Sacramentum to take this away from them, and to be honest, they could probably just run it all the way down to base and end this game.
Yeah, definitely though, Sacramentum can say, hey, look, we managed to not just get rolled over fully in a situation where we had no right to live. And from Ablaze's point of view, this game should have been a lot cleaner, a lot healthier. They deserve this win if they do get it here, but it could have been a lot cleaner, and it's something I think they should go back, reflect on, and try to improve in the coming weeks. And Sacramentum should go back and say, okay, what was good about this type of game? What was good about this series? Let's take that and build upon it, because I think if they lose this, that's 2 series in a row they've lost. But at least this one would have been a 2-1.
Yeah, right now we do see a bit of a scrap happening. Towie guys taking quite a bit of damage, but now they can just push the waves in. They have all 3 inhibs taken down. We did see the last embrace there going to be missed by the Senna, so not going to be able to have their own CC, as Cool Snigel trying to stop Isha from taking this tower, but it's not going to be successful, and they're just waiting for the go button, but the waves are pushing in, and Crisis gets immediately snapped. The Jax with the lamppost just taking too much, and there's the hero's entrance going to be coming down. Does get the knock up onto Snigel on the base, so the Encore will save them for a little bit longer. Snigel going to be going low, he gets taken down, and the Amumu holding them hostage. Dark Weave is golden, he's going to be locked down. The Nexus will fall, and Ablaze takes it all.
Well played to Ablaze. They deserved this win, but Sacramentum showed tenacity and they showed fight. They didn't roll over, they kept trying. And I love that about a team that's in a disadvantaged position. Never accept the defeat, always look. Always, especially when it's games where you are do or die.
Yeah, and I think big shout out to Sacramentum. I think their mental was really good. They managed to keep themselves in this game, but unfortunately, the comp difference was just a little bit too steep. It was just a very hard game where unless they had kind of snowballed out of control beyond the stars and the moon, it kind of would have been a situation where they were never going to win that game.
Yeah, very unfortunate game for Sacramentum. Honestly, I don't know if they were just trying to miracle it, but I don't know how that type of draft happens. But we're gonna have an interview with the support from Ablaze Fork now in a second or two. I'm gonna set that up now.
Yeah, so he will be joining us. Hello, Fork. How are you? How have the games been today?
Good.
That's a nice, short and swift answer there from you. Obviously, you must be pretty happy.
No, the games were so boring, and we were inting. We didn't deserve to win, honestly. Okay. Top laner deserved to win. We didn't.
Okay, fair enough. So a bit of a critical review there from you. Fair enough. Obviously, there were some moments that weren't the greatest for you guys, but you did come through in the end. Let's quickly talk about game one. How are you kind of feeling? Because it didn't really go your way from the start.
I was so tilted. No, I'm kidding. Game one, I don't know. I wasn't really thinking. I was just there. But after the level 1, we just thought to play safe bot lane and wait for our soul laners to carry us. And that's what happened. So yeah. Nice soul laners, I guess.
Indeed, and then about game 2, so obviously it's the game that you lost. You guys decided to switch up your playstyle a little bit. You kind of brought in some different picks, and was that a decision that you've practiced before, or was it that you guys were just feeling, you know what, we've done it one style, we want to try out a new style while we have a game in hand?
No, we just like to int draft from time to time.
I respect it.
Yeah, I mean it keeps the games interesting, you know. And also, our mid laner likes to, get caught for some reason. Which is cool.
Okay, fair enough. Any questions from you, Damon?
Yeah, just about your future. How are you guys going to kind of bounce back from a couple of rough, messy games? That third game was an almost clinical game. You know, you all played very, very well. A couple of mistakes here and there, but what is your guys' goals going in the forward weeks? Are you going to try to clean up your act, or are you going to just try to keep being this very snowball heavy smart team? I think that's a very good way to reflect you guys.
I think we're gonna win every game from now on, and yeah, that's probably that's it.
You got the int out, is it?
Very, very bold prediction there from you, Forker.
If we lose any game, I will eat a shoe. Yeah.
All right. Well, you heard it here first, folks.
Yeah,
I'm gonna hold you. I will hunt you down. I will hold you.
So you say you're going to win every game since, and
yes.
Are there any teams that you're a little bit worried about?
No teams.
Damn, confidence is flowing. It's oozing out of you right now, and yeah, you guys definitely did perform pretty well. I think that there were obviously some highs, some lows, but game 3 definitely came through where you guys were just able to wipe them off the map.
True. Well, we played a little bit better third game.
So, with that being said, do you think that your team comp really suits the kind of team fighting aspect, or do you guys prefer to play that split push style?
No, we just like to ooga booga every game. Always fight.
So you guys are a scrap heavy, fighty type of team, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Just because your game 2 draft was kind of the exact opposite of that I was talking about.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're like, you know what? Maybe we should try something different, and then we don't win, and then we go back, and then we're like, you know what? We won too much. Let's try something different, and then we int it again.
So going forward, are you guys just going to try to stay like, okay, we're this type of team, just going to do that, or you guys think for playoffs specifically? I think this game gave you a very good chance of securing that.
No, I think we're gonna int some drafts definitely and try different stuff. Just because, why not? You know, I mean, it's too easy to win anyway, so might as well.
Okay, well, tough talk from someone that lost a game today. You said you'd eat a shoe if you lose any more in the future, so we will have to we will have to keep you to that one. I see your team in chat very much ready to make you finish that forfeit. And any final words from you today about your games?
I want to thank Asia, our top laner, for carrying us, and I want to thank my AD carry for putting up with me. That's it.
Okay, well, that's some nice words there. And we will let you go. A nice interview from you there, giving us a little bit of insight on the games today.
Yeah, thank you.
So with that being said, the interview conducted, that is going to be all from us. Any final words from you, Mr. Damon?
I like the tenacity from Sacramentum. It was an unfortunate series for them, and I think that puts them 3 losses down. I think they're 0-3 in terms of games, but definitely you can tell the improvement week to week, game to game. They've looked better every time, and I think if they can just avoid, whatever the draft in Game 3 was, and just find the style that suits them. You saw 3 very different styles from them this series. They can pick one. I think they're going to be able to turn it around, maybe make a deep playoff run if they can sort it out. The mechanical ability is there, but Ablaze definitely is going to be one of the stronger teams going through this, and I think they could make a very compelling argument to win their entire division if they can kind of fix those oopsies in draft and gameplay, like that game too. But very fun series to cast. I loved having you here with me, J-Real, and I wish everyone the best week.
Yeah, and that will be us ending the stream there. Big shout out to you guys in chat. Big shout out to anyone that betted it, Sacramentum there, because you guys gave me like 172k channel points. And also a big shout out to British Blaze as well for setting up the stream as well. Without him, we wouldn't be able to do the stream at all. Obviously, shout out to Damon as well for smurfing it with the color cast, and I hope you guys learned a little bit new at home. But that will be all from us, Valence League, and it will be week 3 signing off for now. We'll see you later on.